Good morning, friends. Good morning, gang. Hello, hello. How are you this morning? Hope you're doing well. It is a good day for you. Good morning, Kristen. We have, just as I'm here in the office, we have hey, Karen, good morning. We have our many little minions up in the sanctuary, transforming it, getting ready for the first day of First Advent, our journey towards Christmas, and we are adorning the sanctuary beautifully. So it's going to be a beautiful celebration. We have all kinds of stuff going on. Please check the on the Facebook page and on the website. We have the our parish guide, which is our newsletter, posted there. If you want to know all the events or all the stuff, it's a great season. Good morning, Vicky. Hope you're doing well. I hope you'll be a part of it here. So, good morning, everybody. Got a few more people coming along, and we'll get going here. Good morning, friends. So today, good morning, everyone. Let's get going. It is the 30th day of November on this Thursday at 11:11, and I'm glad you're with us and glad you're on this journey. Today is the feast day of Saint Andrew. Now, we in our tradition are not big on celebrating feast days. It's not really a thing we do. But hey, it's Andrew, my namesake. So I want to talk about him. And just as not as that we're going to lift lift so many different things up and so many different people up, but that as a way of seeing God's hand in operation throughout the history of the church, and so that we might see God's hand in operation in our lives. So this so Andrew is the brother of Peter. So he is Peter's older brother, actually. So Peter, like younger brothers, always, I'm a younger brother, get all the fame and you get all you get all the things, and it's the older brother that's just left to do the heavy lifting. Sorry, Mike. But that we are in this journey of where Andrew is, and Andrew's known for two things. Andrew in Greek, his name, it means strong or manly, and he is known for being fairly charismatic. He has good social skills, because there's a number of times in the Gospels where he kind of convinces people of things or does, and he'll go on in ministry for nearly 50, 30, 40, 50 years. He will be quite old by the time he actually goes to his death in martyrdom. And he will work throughout the Mediterranean, throughout Greece, and throughout. He will continue to preach the gospel until one day he ends up in the island of Patras, and the governor there, the Roman governor of Patras, he actually converts his wife to become. Now, this is a big deal. It's a big deal for a lot of reasons, as you might imagine. It's not just a big deal because now they have to decide where to go to church on Sunday. It's a big deal because part of the governor's job is reinforcing the cult of the emperor. The emperor is the Son of God. That's what the emperor's name is. It says it right on the coins if you looked at it. So now his wife, having become a worshiper of Christ, who is kind of the denier of these other gods, not denier, but just no longer giving no the one of the distinctive factors of the Christians is that they were no longer willing to worship the other gods, that truly they were followers of Jesus, and that in being followers of Jesus they followed no other gods. So this as you can imagine, this governor ends up in a jam where he can either keep his wife happy, or he can essentially not only keep his job but probably keep his life and her life and all of it the same. So he ends up putting Andrew to death. And the death actually is so that there's two different stories here in terms of how he goes to martyrdom. In fact, and if you're ever looking to figure out, if you ever see an icon of all the disciples, and they're all stylized in some ways, and they all have this little signature thing about them, that the thing that is a signature is for Andrew is that he was a fisherman, and sometimes he'll be portrayed with some kind of fishing gear or something like that. That's possible. And the other thing, though, is because of his age, he's considered with a great gray beard. So he is often and so him towards the in his late in his life will end up being crucified for one of two reasons. One is that he will be crucified in an X. So not with a cross as we've been taught, but in X. Now the question is why? If you read the kind of the the let's make Andrew look as good as possible kind of literature, it is because he did not feel worthy to be crucified in the manner in which Christ was crucified. You'll see the same thing with Peter. Peter is crucified upside down on a cross because he is considered unworthy to be crucified. But, my thing, I tend to believe the other story, which is the story of are Roman centurions and Roman soldiers in the business of kind of taking orders about, is it kind of the Burger King of crucifixion? You kind of get to have it your way. I don't know if I'd buy that, but so that actually what other historians suggest is that it was because it was a way to embarrass them. And so it was a way to say, you're not even good enough it was a way to mock them, that you're not even good enough to be crucified in the same manner as Jesus. Because even at the year 60, when we believe he was crucified and he was martyred, that even then the cross was still gaining traction as a symbol of Christianity. And so there was this way of let's not give them the dignity of even dying in the same way and they could point and mock them. So this is and we think, well, there it is, okay, right? Like there's the whole story that good old Andrew did a lot of great things, followed the Lord, gave over incredible service to God, and preached the God. There are Christians in Greece today largely because of Andrew's efforts, that they started that early, and all of the churches that Paul will later visit or be a part of in his efforts, or will be a part of in those same efforts, will largely be attributed to the work of Andrew. So yeah, good job. All right, way to go. 3 claps for Andrew. Okay. But that's not the end of the story, actually. The story, in many ways, his influence begins to grow after his death beyond even his influence in that, because he is, as many of you may know, the patron saint of Scotland. He's also the patron saint of the Ukraine. He's the patron saint of Russia. He's the patron saint of Argentina. He's the patron saint of Greece, obviously. So he got around. So how did this happen? What does God do with this good and faithful servant, and its works after his death? So there is this guy that comes along a few hundred years afterwards called Saint Rule, or Regulus. So he's a monk, and he has a vision, and he's on this island of Patras where where the bones of Andrew is. And he has this vision to say, take the bones of Andrew, take these relics, and take them to the ends of the earth. And so he loads up and he takes a little retinue of nuns with him to kind of help build something. And they sail to the ends of the earth, and they end up on the Isle of Fife, not too far from what we call St. Andrews today. Rather than being, and today we think of it as the birthplace of golf, but then it actually, and they built a little chapel there. Well, that chapel, it begins to be this place where things happen and special things start to happen, and people start to come to faith, and that over time that it becomes a pilgrimage site. We kind of and it becomes this place where people start to, and that this devotion to Andrew, and by virtue of finding their people's way to Christ, to kind of find this through Andrew, was beginning to grow and beginning to build, and it would come that at one of the great battles that would kind of form Scotland itself would be fought in so this is three. So Regulus is and rules, same guy, just different name. Ends up getting shipwrecked on Fife, and this is in the 350s. So this is hundreds of years later, and they will come to be they'll come to be set where this group will begin to grow. This excitement about Jesus will begin to grow around St. Andrews, and then again, hundreds of years later from that, they're one of the great founders of Scotland itself will come and have another vision. He will have a dream of this X, this salt, what is called the X is called a saltier. So this saltier, the saltier he'll have a vision of it this night before the battle, before he is to go out and fight. And this is again 1,000 years later. This is 1,000 years later. And at the signing of the Declaration of Arbroath, which only happens because of this ability for them to fight this battle. He sees this battle. They paint their shields. And much like the way that Constantine painted his shields with the Cairo, and they go out and they declare this to his troops. The troops are encouraged, and at the end, they will go and the very formation of Scotland will really happen as a result of this. And this becomes that Andrew becomes the protector of Scots everywhere. Now, whether you're Scottish or you're Greek or you're Russian or Ukrainian or Argentinian or whatever you are, this is the day of the patron saint. Now I'm not suggesting we should all kind of go like why we're Congregationalists, Sandy. Why are you talking about we're kind of the anti-saint people in a lot of ways, in the sense of not that we're anti their great accomplishments, but we really understand ourselves all as saints. And this is where I want to land today. What I really want to encourage you in is here now I get it. It's Andrew. It's the brother of Peter. It's the guy who was with Jesus. It's the guy who dedicates his life to the proclamation of the gospel throughout the Mediterranean and into the Black Sea, and he is the guy that is martyred for his faith. And this is an incredible and huge sacrifice. And so that, yeah, I get it that he might he didn't leave a whole lot of chips on the table. We can put it that way. But at the same time, I think the faithful, if we really believe what we declare when we talk about how we talk about saints, is not that it's not that there's these saints that are so great up there, and then there's us, and we're just one day could be like them. but that we really are all saints. We are all of us. We are all who are called to follow this Jesus guy. All of us who are called to live into the reality of life and life eternal, and that Christ declares. All of us who are called to live into the true, the good, and the beautiful, and what that means in our lives and our communities, and that all of us who are part of that, even in the most tangential ways, even in the most small and faltering ways. If you feel like, oh, I haven't done anything, or I haven't done anything like Andrew, what I want to point out is, here is the life of Andrew, that these, his small and flawed and faithful actions end up changing people around the planet for 1,000 years. And even today, there are celebrations in Scotland that will lift up Jesus Christ and the people's understanding of that of Christ through their encounter with Andrew. And if we really hold on to, if we really believe this notion that we say we are all saints, this is truly the priesthood of all believers, that we are all truly saints to being lifted up and being brought home by the one who made us. And that doesn't mean we're always saintly. That's not what that means. This isn't about behavior. It's not about moralism. It is about our identity, about who we are, not what we manage to pull off in any given day. If we really believe that, then 1,000 years from now, people that you don't know and people who will never know you, who may not even know your name, will know that your faithful acts, that the simple things that you did, that your simple declaration of the good and the true and the beautiful in this world will continue to live and influence and inform the world around us. You see, I think that the story of Andrew and the way in which this story continues to be told on this his feast day is actually it's kind of a symbol or a microcosm about how every faithful act, about how every piece of goodness that we'll bring into the world, how every piece of our desiring for the good and the true and the beautiful for us and our neighbors in our midst, every one of those endures to eternity, and that we don't know what God's going to do with any of them. We don't know how God will turn around and use any of our story ever. Certainly, Andrew didn't know with his big gray beard as he was being tied up on an X. So Andrew was never, when he was crucified, they didn't use nails. They just tied him out. So it's dying of exposure, which was really what was supposed to happen to Jesus. The fact that he died in 3 hours was really disappointing to the Romans. The whole point was that he was going to die and suffer a long time there. This whole idea, this whole notion that we find ourselves in a life and in a world where we don't have any agency, where nothing we do matters, where we're subject to these big, the big marketing campaigns of Walmart, or the things that are, or the decisions of the Federal Reserve, or what is this president going to do or that president going to do? The fact that we think that those are the power brokers of the world. But you know what? Nobody knows the name of the governor that put Andrew to death. That's kind of been lost. I mean, there's suspicions. They think they know. They don't even know the name of his wife necessarily that he converted. They think they know, but they're not real sure. But they know the name of Andrew. They know the name of the faithful. They know the name of the good and the true and the beautiful that tried to come into the world. And they'll know your name too. That your name will be lifted among the angels. That your efforts, however meager and however small, will be sung throughout eternity. Because their efforts not towards the brutal and not towards the powerful and not towards the harsh and not towards the broken, but towards peace and innocence and goodness and joy and love and truth. And those things never die and live for eternity. All right, friends, that's my hope for you today, is that maybe we'll touch a little bit, that you go out and celebrate. If you're Scottish, definitely go out and celebrate. But wherever you find yourself, or Greek, or Russian, or Ukrainian, or Argentinian, or Romanian, but whoever you are, go and lift up a bit of the journey of Andrew, because it is my hope for you that you will know that that is not just his journey, it's not just my journey, it is all of our journey as we labor for the goodness of the kingdom of Christ in the world, and that it is always endures forever. All right, peace and grace to you, my friends. We have a great worship service, First Advent on Sunday, Hanging of the Greens. Hope you'll be there, either live or you can find us online here at our website, on YouTube, and on Facebook Live. The website is the best, by the way, in terms of the quality of the viewing and the hearing. So, but wherever you find us, and I hope you'll be here at 282 Rock Street to come and decorate our sanctuary with us, that you may have a blessed and beginning of First Advent. Check out our newsletter for all the stuff that's going on. Peace and grace to you, my friends, and we'll pick it up next week with another 11:11.